We are back with episode 7 of Journey to a Million. And as always, there's some new records broken this week. Andy Reid will become the first head coach to coach the same team or two different teams in 4 straight championship games. Obviously, this year's 4th year with the Chiefs. And then he also did with the Eagles in 2001 through 2004. So, I mean, obviously, his great week of games.
Coach Reid is certainly a good coach, Zack, but I prefer Coach John Roush over him. So, if you want to,
back in the 8th grade days, huh?
Yeah, Coach John really knew how to coach up players. He took no crap from anyone.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
Yeah, but it was an exciting week of football this past week. Not really for Packer fans, but for a lot of just football in general. It was an exciting week of divisional games, considering all 4 games went down to the wire. All, those last plays matter big time for them, which was good to see after what we saw from Wild Card Weekend, which was a disaster. So, yeah, they was certainly a better week in the realm of football. And with that, guys, you want to get right into it? Talk about what we saw last week.
Do it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Should we start the Titans game? Want to start that one?
You bet. Bengals, sure. Titans, 4-1, and wow.
Yeah. How do you? Okay, I guess just how do you lose a game having 9 sacks?
9. Yep, it was 9. I'll tell you how.
That game?
Ryan Tannehill played terrible.
He made some questionable throws that ruined the game. That last interception kind of sold the game.
He reminded me of like Carson Wentz of the
exactly.
Yeah,
you can't give the ball up there. Like game-winning drive, getting to field goal range, just throw that away, or just you don't need to make that throw.
I was rooting for this Titans team. I wanted them to go to the Super Bowl. I know. Yeah, with Tannehill under center, it's certainly 1 touchdown, 3 picks, 77 QBR in that game, 15-24. But the one thing, Derrick Henry didn't have. I mean, he played good, but with 20 attempts for 62 yards, averaging a little over 3.
He played okay.
Yeah,
okay,
but
it wasn't that good.
But for him coming off what he came off of the injury, I don't know what you expected. That's why
I didn't think he would get the 20 carries, but
that's
what I'm saying. They're gonna kind of work him in with like 10 to 15, but
he didn't get their big carries either. That was it Foreman?
Foreman had 4 for 66.
Yeah.
A big 45-yard run for him, but yeah, nothing really. This Titans offense was
bad.
AJ Brown played pretty well. Good luck.
He had a good touchdown catch. That one-handed catch. Yeah.
It looked like he dropped it. If you're like watching on TV, like I didn't think he caught it.
Yeah, he had 5 for 142.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The ball went right into his arm. I thought I didn't look after the play.
I mean that's just what I thought. But so are you guys becoming Joe Burrow fans?
No.
Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase fans? No.
Yeah. Well,
Jamar Chase, yes.
I like Burrow. Like he's great and all, but like I don't know. I just I don't know.
It's too early.
I'm just not like he's gonna be an incredible quarterback. He already is playing like a great quarterback right now. It's just I don't know. Like he's just not a quarterback I'd root for. I like a scrambling quarterback more. Some guy who will run.
What about Evan McPherson before his game-winning kick, telling Brandon Allen, "Looks like we're going to the championship game."
He's a bad man too. Wow,
as a rookie bold. Too. That confidence he has.
I believe he's the most 50-yard field goals made in Bengals history already, and he's a rookie. So put that into perspective.
First year.
Incredible. Wow. Ryan Tannehill having tackled this game too. After throwing those picks, good for him. Getting in the stat sheet some way on defense. But like Zack mentioned, 9 sacks for this Titans defense. That's this Titans defense. We talked about it last week actually on the show. Very underrated, and yeah, they showed up this game, played lights out, some of their best ball this year, and they still get the L, which is just tough. Only giving up 19 points to that explosive Bengals offense. And Burrow, 28 for 37, no touchdowns thrown for 1 pick. 348 yards, and his QBR was great at 104. So he played well for sure. But we really haven't seen that big Joe Mixon playoff game yet. But this Bengals Bengals offense being so balanced, there's so many guys, so many weapons. We talked about that too. with like
Yeah, I think that the Titans defense, like we said, was very underrated, but I see Ryan Tannehill as a little overrated, and I think he's the reason that they couldn't get over the hump. If they had a slightly above average quarterback, they'd be probably favorites, I think.
Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely something that they're probably going to look into in the off season. But so do we want to move on to this Packer game then?
No, we don't. But I guess
No,
we can.
so I mean, obviously Packers play terrible, look terrible. I mean, they got the outcome they deserved, but
Hold on. Well, they had the best like 6-7 minutes in the start of the game possible. Everything went their way. Everything.
Yeah, they had a good
excellent start.
6 minutes, and then the other 54 minutes, it was like they weren't even playing. It was just bad.
Let's talk about, and I know everyone talks about the special teams that you always hear, like how there was 10 guys on the field the last play, but let's talk about that blocked punt for a touchdown. Like, just go to that play right there. Did you guys see, like, just rewatch that play? Anyone?
Yeah. I mean, I rewatched it, but it just kind of changed the whole scope of the game. I don't know. It just came out of nowhere, and like you have 10-3. I think it was.
Jared did tie the game up in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, it got to change the game a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it was 10-3, and like punting the ball back with 5 minutes left or so, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't looking too bad for the Packers because they were getting stops on defense when they needed to, but
Rodgers just wasn't throwing it to anyone besides Adams. Like on that,
he had like one target to Lazard, I think, and that was it.
3rd and 11, last drive of the game, like right before they punted it back. It was, like I said, 3rd and 11, and instead of hitting Lazard, who was wide open over the middle of the field, he throws it 30 yards downfield to double covered Adams. That there's never anything there. There's nothing there.
But if he catches that, then what? Play of the game, right?
That one.
Yeah.
That was the decision. I was just scratching my head, shaking it. Like that was.
But there's obviously a lot going on with Rodgers. Obviously, he came out and said that he doesn't want to be part of a rebuilding Green Bay. But whether or not he'll be gone, I don't know. But I think
he said he is going on the Pat McAfee show in a few weeks, and he's going to announce it live in Indianapolis, where he's playing next year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if Rodgers is gone, Packers take and trade Adams. So I think if one leaves, they both leave.
This might sound bad, but if you're a Packer fan and you hear Rodgers is gone, I'm actually anxious. I'm excited to see how the rebuild goes. That might sound, like obviously you want Rodgers to stay, but like if he says he's leaving, I want to, like Zach said, you're going to take and trade Adams. I just want to see, because you have so many valuable pieces on this team that are not talked about a lot. Like Rashawn Gary, he played some of his best
amazing.
ball. Yeah, he's an incredible player, and I think he's just so much value. Kenny Clark up the middle, that's certainly someone. Not many on the special teams, like, because as we mentioned that play before, like
that coach needs to go. Special teams coach needs to be gone.
Just that block punt for a touchdown, the play I was talking about before, the long snapper being like they had bull. It was basically a bull rush. I've never seen at the NFL level a bull rush. On just a one, like it was something you see in high school.
On the long snapper, why was there nobody back there?
I don't.
One of the guys behind the line that was off. I don't know what they're called. But why wasn't there someone sitting there helping? It's just
there's a lot of questions. Their special teams has been their weak point almost all year. They finally got a good defense, and it just came down that their special teams kind of sold it.
The year you have an incredible offense and a great defense. You have bad special teams, but then the years when you have that incredible offense, you have the mediocre, below average defense. It's just the Packers. Aaron Rodgers just can't. And I know we mentioned he certainly didn't play the best, but look at it. They almost won this game. With how he played. That's what I still find incredible.
I think
okay, you go ahead.
If AJ Dillon didn't get hurt in his first half, I think Packers won that game.
He was going off too. He was getting to a fresh, pretty fast start. I mean,
4 or 5
yards of running back you need in that weather too. But obviously, disappointing game to end disappointing season. So
I want to point out.
The season was disappointing. The ending was disappointing. Maybe the season kind of a.
Jimmy G played some of the worst football I've ever seen out of a winning quarterback in the divisional round. He played terrible. looking at some of his completions, 11 for 19. Some of his completions were like underhand tosses. We're talking, plays and throws under pressure that somehow were caught. Like he played unbelievably bad, yet they still come out with winning this game, which I find incredible. What did you guys think about his performance?
I mean, I said a couple weeks ago that I thought the 49ers were going to kind of do the same path they took to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, have Jimmy G throw 15 times a game and just run the ball. And
but this team's not as good as
they've been doing so far.
That team a few years ago.
Zach did call it a Carson Wentz type of game from Jimmy G coming up, and he did just that. So
wow. But yeah, Kittle and Debo, showed up for sure. But that defense still played very well for 49ers as well. Armstead and Bosa were kind of the big names there. Warner had some good plays. I mean, having Warner and Bosa go, that was certainly game-changing for the 49ers as well. But
yeah. So do you want to move on to the Bucs and Rams then? I guess instead of just talk about how bad the Packers played.
Yeah, let's do it, Zach. That game was that was a thriller.
This was the third
2 halves. I mean,
this was the third game out of the 3 so far as of like the game that ended in a game-winning field goal.
Yep.
Good game.
First half was all Rams, and I mean Stafford looked great. Cooper Kupp looked good in the first half, and then the Bucs came back on a lot of Rams mistakes and miscues. But
let's talk.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm gonna be 100% honest. When the Rams were up by like 20 or something, and then at halftime it just continued and it was like a blowout. I'm just like, okay, I'm just not gonna pay attention really. And then all of a sudden I see that after like there's like 4 minutes left and the Buccaneers had the ball back and it was a 2-possession game. I was like, okay, well, we'll turn it on again. So I kind of missed like the whole like end of the third quarter and to like the fourth.
Yeah. But I mean, Brady gets like a lot of credit for that, which obviously he led the offense, but a lot of it was just he missed a lot of throws throughout the game, and it's just the Rams are just
he didn't play well.
They let the Bucs back into the game. I mean, they pretty much gave him competition again.
Yeah, like Brady, I don't know. It was he threw 54 times. So if we look at it, from that perspective, 30 of them. 329 yards, but the QBR was around 77. So he played.
Talk about that. The last play of the game, the Cooper Kupp, the long, I don't know, it was a 50-yard catch or whatever. How do you let somebody get behind you?
Well,
with like 30 seconds left or whatever. There's no safety help though. Like I'm blaming like defensive coordinator. I'm just
Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
Mid blitz was the play call. If we look at Madden perspective,
yep.
There was one-on-one with the best receiver, this season. I don't understand the whole decision to maybe send pressure when you leave a safety on a guy like Cooper Kupp. It just didn't work out, and he was wide open.
Yeah, I think the safety, whoever's defending him, like kind of stayed a little short, and there was just no one. Yeah, there was no one to help, and wide open
for sure. But this Buccaneers defense, like against the run game, they played great like usual. Cam Akers got held in check, 24 attempts, 48 yards only. Really tough game for him. Van Jefferson too. 1 attempt for 15 yards. Ending his kind of surprise season there, and OBJ still, or not ending his, but continuing because they still are going ahead next week. But OBJ was another guy. Look at him coming to this Rams team, and now look at he's a win away from the Super Bowl. Who would have thought at the start of the year that OBJ would be in this situation?
You think he's like kind of happy the Packers lost because he made that decision to go to the Rams over the Packers?
Probably.
I don't.
Yeah.
Who knows what would have happened if you would have chosen the Packers instead of the Rams? But I guess we can move on to the last game then. Probably game of the year, most likely. The first.
Yeah, game of the last few years.
First 55 minutes was just a normal football game, and then you had like a whole game of action packed into the last 5 minutes. I'd say there's like 25 points scored in the last 2 minutes or something like that.
Yep.
Going into overtime, obviously Gabriel Davis had a huge game, over 200 yards, 4 touchdowns. And obviously Josh Allen kept his playoff performance. He was the highest, according to Pro Football Focus, he was the highest graded player offensively ever in the postseason. and he lost. But I mean, what did you guys think of the ending? Obviously, like the 13-second field goal and then the overtime.
Yeah, it was just a great game. I just want to talk about something. Last year when the Chiefs beat the Bills and Stephon Diggs was on the field, I thought he was going to come out this game and actually like do something. He had like 3 catches for 7 yards, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
Look, we gotta look at what the Chiefs did defensively. You were seeing double teams up on him, like they were really hiding their coverage on Diggs. It was really tough for him to get involved because 2 guys on him. That really opened, I think, the game for guys like Davis and Beasley. Gabriel Davis has the game of his life. Shout out Kyle Whitmus, who has him right now in our fantasy dynasty league. Kyle has like a really valuable stock, let's say right now, and he's trying to trade him. So, but yeah, Davis went absolutely off. 4 touchdowns too. Come on.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that route where
he broke the ankles?
Touchdowns? Yeah, the quarterback was like spinning around and like he had no idea where to go. It was
that was nasty. I didn't think I mean obviously I knew who he was, but like he made a name for himself really in that game. Wow.
So I want to know what you guys think about the 13-second drive though. Like
I can tell you there is no way that the Chiefs should be allowing Bills should be allowing a catch that far down the field with like no coverage, like 20 yards out.
They're running like prevent defense, which Chiefs had 3 timeouts, 13 seconds. That's time for 2 20-yard plays like they did. And the Bills had most of their guys 30 yards downfield. Like I'm
questionable.
My Leslie Frazier is. Yeah, and then obviously there's a whole overtime rule that obviously that's a big in question now, but I guess what do you guys think about the overtime rule?
I think it said, I saw a stat that said in the postseason, the last 11 games, 10 out of the 11 teams have won that gotten the coin toss. So Keenan Allen also tweeted out saying like defense wins championships. So like I understand where he's coming from, but I prefer college rules in that situation just to be a little, because like a great player like, Josh Allen had an amazing game, amazing season, and it just ends like that, and he had no control over it really. So I would like seeing each team at least get the ball once.
Yeah, I saw a proposal. Somebody just came up with it where like during the regular season, you keep it how it is now, where if you go down and score a touchdown, you win. Then once it goes to the postseason, it's like a 5-minute quarter, a 10-minute quarter or something like that, and you just play like regular football.
I also saw where they were going to play out the overtime, like all 15 minutes. I saw something that said that too.
Yeah. Just play it all out.
Yeah.
I can see that in the playoffs. Yeah.
I like a smaller period. I think the 5 to 10. I think that's certainly fair to do that. I'm on board with that because I don't know. I don't like how the coin toss right now, picking the right heads or tails, it kind of decides if you're moving on because that's how it is when you have 2 quarterbacks playing the way they were.
The only problem with the whole 5-minute thing is like how many drives in the actual game
that's why
can a team get
10,
all the way down in 5 minutes. They can just stall the clock.
Exactly. 10 you could really work.
Yeah,
make
so
that work.
10 minutes would probably be better.
For sure.
But I guess, do you guys have anything else to say about the divisional round games?
Yeah, I do. Josh Allen, postseason wise, if you look at, he had probably one of the best postseason 2-game stretches ever for a quarterback. Considering what it was like 9 touchdowns thrown for or accounted for, something 14 incompletions or something. So and
they weren't dump off passes either. Like they were nice throws too. So he stepped up.
Legendary performance, and that's just a bummer. The Bills will be back though for sure. They got a great team there, and like those guys will be around. So just hoping. I was rooting for the Bills team too.
Their loss to Jacksonville was definitely fluke, unlike some other teams that lose to Jacksonville. But
they did lose to the Colts too, Zack. They lost to the Colts by like 30. Okay.
Well, where are the Colts right now?
Where are the Packers right now? Okay. Next.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, championship Sunday and Saturday, just Sunday, right? Yeah.
Start the AFC.
Yeah, we'll start the first one. I'll read these here. The Cincinnati Bengals go to Kansas City to face the Chiefs. It's on CBS, 2 p.m. kickoff. And you can also stream it on Paramount Plus. So there you go. And Chiefs are favored right now by a touchdown. And the over-under right now, 53.5. So Chiefs and Bengals. Zach, you do your pick 'em first. Let's hear it.
I'm starting to like Joe Burrow, but I think that Chiefs, now that they beat the Bills, I think Chiefs going all the way. So I'm picking the Chiefs.
Yeah, me too. I think that their legendary season ends here. They won 2 playoff games, but the Chiefs are just too much, and I think they're the clear Super Bowl favorites now that the Bills are out. So I would go Chiefs too.
Same here, Chiefs for me as well. I think now with we mentioned the Bucks, Packers, and the Bills losing, and the Titans. I think all those teams losing right now. I think the Chiefs are clear cut number one by a long shot, but certainly, we're rooting for a good game here. It could be a shootout. Hopefully, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be a shootout based on these offenses. But yeah, I think Chiefs win by 1 score, maybe 2 in this game. But we've seen some close games this past week. But let's talk now NFC Championship game. We got the Rams hosting the San Francisco 49ers. Who would have thought the Rams would have been able when hosting a championship game this year? That's crazy to me. And that's 5:30 kickoff on Fox. They're 3.5-point favorites, the Rams are, and the over-under now 46.5. So, Jared, starting with you, Rams or 49ers?
The only reason the 49ers won last week is because the Packers had one of the worst games of their year, except for week 1 against the Saints. I got the Rams easily here. I'm not going to say easily. I'm going to say it's a closer game, but it's probably like a 7 or so point game, but I got Rams here.
Zack?
I don't know. 49ers have won the last 6 matchups. We're talking about that week 18. So I'm going to take 49ers. I think they make a 7 in a row. And I think they make the Super Bowl.
I'll say, okay, well, we talked about how Wisconsin teams like to lose to the eventual champion in sports.
Ooh,
and I think, not saying the 49ers are going to win, but I think they might make the Super Bowl here. So I'll go 49ers, but I'm really rooting for the Rams. I think what Matthew Stafford put up with in Detroit, I think that if he just makes it here, I think that'd be just a cherry on top, for him to kind of flex, first year out of Detroit, look what he can do. And I'm certainly rooting for the Rams here, but I'll go 49ers. So that wraps up our conference championship talk, right? And Zach, you have some more things planned?
Yeah, there's a bunch of head coaching hires are starting to come in for obviously the teams that aren't in the playoffs. I mean, Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett goes to Denver. I mean, I'm guessing you don't really care much, but Drew, are you sad that he's leaving the Packers? Do you really?
Well, he didn't call plays for the team, if I'm not mistaken. That was kind of Matt LaFleur's duties.
Yeah.
So if you look at roles, certainly he's a replaceable guy, but he's certainly a great mind. Looking what he's been a part of these past 2 years while at Green Bay, having some of the best offensive numbers at team-wise in the NFL. So great hire by the Broncos, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about it because I think LaFleur is going to do fine, and they have some good candidates with the QB coach and offensive line coach.
Yeah, I saw something that said, do you think the Broncos hired him so that Rodgers goes with or no? Because there was something that said Rodgers wanted to go to Denver or whatever. That was a whole speculation and play in Denver. And they hired,
I've seen that, but I don't think, certainly could play a factor in it, but I don't think that was the sole reason because you can't bank on this guy going to Denver. So,
yeah.
So then the next one, Jared, you're probably going to care a little bit more about this.
Yep.
Matt Eberflus? I don't even know how to say his name.
Eberflus?
Eberflus? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Right. He's going to the Bears.
Thank God.
That's going to affect the Packers a little bit, maybe. But
I wouldn't be too
what do you
scared.
think of that?
We have the players on our defense. It wasn't really the coaching. We played too soft zone. So, we needed to blow up our team anyway. So, I'm 100% fine with him leaving. He was, one of the few people that we needed gone. And he's been, scouted for, 2 or 3 years now. They've been looking at him, at other teams have, as a head coach. So, I think that, the only reason the Colts defense was what it is because of the players we had and not really the defensive coordinator. So I don't think he's going to be anything special on the Bears, but we'll see.
Okay. And then Dan Quinn came out today telling teams he's staying in Dallas. So I know there's a lot of teams interested in him, but he's staying in Dallas, staying put.
I was surprised.
Potentially taking over from Mike McCarthy this year if McCarthy gets fired.
I found reports, Zach. They're saying Mike McCarthy he appears to be safe right now.
Looks like they would fire him. Yeah,
but we'll have to see how the season goes next year because obviously that team has the talent to go a lot farther than they did this year.
For sure.
And then coming out yesterday, which when this airs will be 2 days ago, Jacksonville is reportedly working to finalize a deal with Byron Leftwich, which is the Bucs offensive coordinator, for their head coaching position. I guess, what do you guys think about that?
It's an improvement.
Yeah.
I mean,
certainly better than what they had last year with Mr. Meyer. I don't know where to go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I also did see that they're interviewing an offensive coordinator from somewhere else, like today. So I don't know how close that is, but that was just a report that came out yesterday. And then for the Ravens, John Harbaugh got a contract extension, or they're working to one. So obviously, I think nobody's really surprised by that. He's done a great job in Baltimore.
He's done a great job too. But like with the whole 2-point conversion thing, because they would have made the playoffs they probably would have. Looking at his,
they would have won one of the 2 games.
Yeah, which again, now we know. But I think that was certainly an interesting thing. But yeah, he's done a great job there. Totally deserves it. But yeah,
hindsight's obviously always 20/20. So.
Yes,
yeah. If they make those 2-point conversions, right, they're probably a top seed, and we're looking at it completely different. So,
yeah, obviously, Chargers fans may be going through that in the near future as well. With
the tie,
the
tie. Thank you, Jaguars. Okay.
So then, obviously, there's some big retirements coming up at the end of the season. So, Brandon Brooks, the guard from the Eagles. Obviously, 2019, he was the highest graded player for, I think it was offensive line. Yep. And then the last 2 seasons, he's played 60, 70 snaps, something like that. So he's been dealing with a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Good career.
But,
it's time to go probably after injuries start playing a factor.
Yeah. And he was getting up there. I think he was 33, 34 or something like that. So then obviously the one we all knew was coming for a majority of the season, I think it's Big Ben. I think everyone kind of expected that and knew that was coming.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you think he's first ballot Hall of Famer in a couple years?
No, but he will.
Not quite. Yeah. 2-time Super Bowl champ, multiple Pro Bowls, right?
Oh, he's the resume, yeah. But
yeah,
he'll
be in the Hall of Fame, just not first ballot.
Yeah, I think it also probably depends on Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, because if they both retire this year, I think they're both first ballot. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to retire, but Tom Brady is.
It sounds
a little closer. He sounds like he's contemplating it. His family reasons, but
I did see. Yeah, I think the family thing, because he did bring up that with the wife and the kids, and I wouldn't be surprised if he retired this offseason based on what reports have been saying. So that's just one that might just happen. This might be finally the year.
He is 40, 44, right?
44, yeah.
Yeah, but it kind of came out of blue, don't you think? Because a lot of the stuff he's been saying and everyone else has been saying is he's going to play for a couple more years and everything.
Yeah, because he was saying
he's it might be it.
Yeah, he was talking about as long as their team is doing successful, right? And I know Gronk is also considering it too. I think he was next year going to talk about, but yeah, I don't know. It just kind of flipped as soon as they lost. It's okay, they're he's staying for a few years, but now it's just everyone just flips on 180.
Yeah, personally, I think Tom Brady's he's got one more year. I think he's coming back for another year. Gronk will come back again. They're going to try and get Super Bowl 8 for Tom, and I think that'll be it then.
I think they're going to do kind of let's call it Last Dance. Brady is going to get his retirement kind of parade for every game and whatnot. And then I think those two go out together. It's going to be the way it goes. So certainly they're going to announce. I think he'll announce before that's his last year, kind of like what we see in baseball with guys like Jeter and, just to get that farewell tour. Those guys. Yeah.
And maybe their last dance won't result in a divisional loss.
It would end the way it's supposed to. Yeah.
So that obviously the coaching one, Sean Payton, he retires.
Wow.
I think he's only
Surprising.
58 or something. Like I don't even think he's 60. So obviously that was a shock for some people. Let's see.
Yeah. Very shocking.
And with the Sean Payton thing, if you think about, because looking through it, I believe 2023 is the like if he were to come back next year, the Saints would have the rights to like if he is interested in coming back coaching, they would have to give permission for interviews and such. But he also
they have to be compensated or something.
Yeah, and plus they have to give permission. But also, like there's something about him receiving TV offers, being on television. He was interested in those, I saw. So maybe we'll see him kind of take a Drew Brees route.
Less stressful job, probably.
Yeah.
What if we see a Drew Brees, Sean Payton
NBC
broadcast?
Right, yeah, Brees is on NBC, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be something to watch.
Be a treat to see.
Yeah. I mean, obviously he's not leaving the Saints in a great position. They don't have a starting quarterback, 60, 70 million over the cap. So he's just kind of like, yeah, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this.
What are they going to do with that team? I don't. What do you do?
We're going to have to trade some people.
Yeah.
People cut
Shake
some
it up
people.
a little bit.
Them and the Packers right now have the best, or not the best, but the most interesting off seasons, I think, for sure. In the Bucks,
I can throw the Colts in there too.
The Colts aren't that good.
Not really.
They're gonna blow up their team. They said they're gonna make a lot of moves. That sucks
though, because Pittman, JT, there's so many Darius Leonard, so many great pieces there. It would be.
Mm-hmm. Changes are coming. They said.
Yeah, and with the Saints, like a lot of their players, their star players are like young 30s too. So they really don't have a whole lot of young pieces besides like Marshawn Lattimore is pretty young, but other than that, like everyone's 30.
Demario Davis is getting up there. Cameron Jordan, those guys.
Yep.
And
even Alvin Kamara, they signed to a 5-year deal, and he's 27, which that's not that old, but for a running back, that's
getting up there. Yeah.
Do you think they have to look for a quarterback next year? Or are they going to roll with Winston and Hill still?
I don't know.
I think Winston comes back.
Probably.
You think?
Because
he looked pretty good at the starts he had at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, an improvement from Tampa Bay Winston for sure.
Yeah, definitely. The eye surgery definitely fixed him.
Yeah.
I saw a stat that Drew Brees actually has the lowest winning percentage of quarterbacks with Sean Payton.
Oh.
Like Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, was it Trevor Siemian?
Yeah, Siemian.
And Teddy Bridgewater.
Ian Book. Haha.
Ian Book.
0-1.
Excluding him.
Okay, he's an outlier. Okay. But I believe, if you think about volume, certainly Brees has played more games, but it's certainly one you wouldn't expect. Yeah.
And you have to remember Michael Thomas is also coming back. So they're getting a few guys. I don't know if that's the only person, but like they still have a decent team. It's not like you said, it's just salary,
I think he's a trade candidate too, because his cap hit is
I agree.
Almost 20 million.
I think Kamara, you might go crazy, but maybe Kamara, probably not, but certainly
if they're looking to like blow up their team for draft picks, maybe then they could, get a trade like that going. But
they do have the assets,
I could see like a Cam Jordan going somewhere in a Von Miller type deal, kind of like what Denver got for Von Miller. Similar deal to that.
True, yeah.
Potentially.
Could be on the lookout for
that. It's just the Giants GM, Joe Schoen, he came out saying that they're just going to surround Daniel Jones with talent. And they think he can play at a high enough level.
Shouldn't they get talent around their other?
Yeah.
It should be the other way around, I think.
That's not the play. I don't know what they're doing with that, but yeah.
But again, we talked about this draft class. I like Kenny Pickett, but from there, I think this isn't the year, right? You guys see any prospects that would interest you in these situations, like the Steelers, the Giants? But
Yeah,
I like
no.
Kenny Pickett to Pittsburgh, but that's about it.
If they are going to draft, I mean, yeah, if they're not just going to go with Rudolph.
You can see Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, that's certainly a possibility, Zach. But let's round up to our final segment now. We're going to do it now at the end of episodes. We'll talk the lines for the games that we mentioned, championship weekend. Let's start with Chiefs and Bengals. Here we go. Patrick Mahomes, what do you guys think about? Because last time we saw these two teams meet, it was an absolute shootout. And right now they have Mahomes' line for passing yards set at 292.5, and then they have Burrows at 287.5. Would you be comfortable, taking the over on either of those?
So remember when we mentioned back then, like a couple weeks ago, we said never take rushing yards for quarterbacks. The last like 2 or 3 weeks I've taken Mahomes is over on his rushing yards, and he's hit it every single time. I feel comfortable with rushing yards, but you don't know. I don't really feel comfortable with the passing yards on either.
You feel comfortable with rushing yards? Wow, that's
he's been scrambling and he's been hitting it. Yes.
You think that he'll be scrambling to hit again? I don't know. I like the Burrow passing yards. I don't know about, or maybe Joe Mixon's due. He's due for a bigger game. We haven't really seen him get involved a lot, but Zach, what do you think about those lines?
I don't think the Bengals are going to be able to run much with their offensive line. The Chiefs' front seven isn't that bad. Their D line is. They got Chris Jones, obviously, but I think Joe Mixon is going to have a great game, and Joe Burrow is going to be passing a lot. And I think it's just going to be a pass heavy game. So I would take the over on both.
Well, the rule always is you look what Jordon Lawrenz took and you do the opposite. So Jordon Lawrenz took the over on Joe Mixon. So that means we're taking the under, right?
He hasn't had his big game yet,
yeah.
You said. So, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So Joe Mixon might be a good under there. But other lines then in that game, looking at, Edwards-Helaire is only 37.5 rushing yards. Any interest there out of either of you guys?
Maybe a little bit, but I wouldn't feel certain enough to bet my whole, picks on that one.
Darrell Williams is taking too many snaps.
Yeah.
Zach's infamous Darrell Williams receptions pick.
Receiving yards.
He fished with 0 or whatever. Classic.
Yeah.
I think that started his 0 for 95 or whatever it is at right now.
It's somewhere around the beginning there. Yeah.
But okay.
We're working on it. We're going to get one of these weeks.
Talk about this balanced passing, or receivers, in terms of distribution of receiving yards for the Bengals. So you got Chase, Boyd, Higgins, and Uzma. In the lines, Uzma being 36.5, Boyd 39.5, Higgins 71.5, and then Chase 87.5. Are you guys interested in like all 4 of those?
Those only reason it's just hard because you don't know who's going to get the targets. I mean, all 4 of them could hit, but like
they've all got decent target numbers.
I wouldn't take like all of them. I'd take like maybe
obviously
2 or 3 of them. But,
which one stands out then?
I mean, Uzma is pretty low. It's only 36.5. He's been getting his targets. And then, I mean, Chase is going to get his targets. So if it's a close game, he's going to target Chase. So I would take those 2. And maybe the third would be T. Higgins.
I'd take Higgins over Chase just because we've seen Chiefs do it. I think Chiefs are going to kind of give a lot of safety help for Chase. So I think that opened the door for Higgins. Or possibly even Boyd. I mean, 39.5 is pretty low for Tyler Boyd. So,
yeah, he's just not like the primary target. He's kind of like the 3rd or 4th. So it's like, I mean, he's good. He can easily hit that. It's just whether or not he gets the targets.
I like receptions. Yeah. That's one I'm always a fan of taking, which might be weird, but now going to the Chiefs, Byron Pringle, the receptions right now. 3.5. He got 7 targets last week. They're going to be passing a lot, I think. I don't know. That's certainly, one of those names you don't talk about. That one might be one I'm interested in. I don't know what you guys, your stance is on receptions, but
I could see that happening, possibly, yeah.
And then the always the gamble one. I know Zach always mentions this is with Travis Kelce receiving yards. You never know with him, and it's 76.5 right now. So.
If there's a game like last week where they need a few yards like they did, it's going to Kelce. But otherwise, he just kind of falls. He's just like invisible. It's like he has games where it's just like you said, inconsistent. It's just I don't really know with him.
I think last year he was very consistent, like probably one of the most consistent tight ends you've
I'm looking
ever
at
seen.
Yep.
And then this year he's been complete opposite. So
his numbers last year were incredible. I'm comparing 2 seasons right now through Sleeper because they let you pull up game logs and compare seasons. Another reason why
it is
Sleeper
really nice.
is the best.
Yeah, looking at
But,
all the past seasons is really nice.
his targets too were up. His targets were up a good chunk from last year, and his receptions were obviously because he was averaging. He had a solid 7 or what was it 6 straight weeks? 7? No, it was 5 weeks here of 8 receptions, and then he had 1 of 7, and then 1 of 10, 1 of 8, and he had that big stretch to end the year. So certainly amazing stretch to end the year for Kelsey. But this year he's been great, but or maybe good, but he hasn't been that what we expected. But he's shown signs of it. So
he's had his games, but he's also had some games where it's where is he when you need him?
Yeah, and that's any other lines you guys want to talk about from there, or do we want to talk about the NFC Championship game lines?
Go to NFC.
Yeah, you can go to NFC.
Let's start, as we mentioned, Rams, 49ers. We'll start with the quarterbacks here. Jimmy G and Matthew Stafford. Jimmy G's line for passing yards is 232.5. I might be taking the under there right away. I never trust Jimmy G, even in passing touchdowns with it being 1.5. 20 and a half completions for him is also the one. And then for Stafford, 23 and a half completions, 279.5 passing yards, 2.5 rushing yards. And then they give you an interception one there with 0.5 interceptions. So out of those quarterback lines, I'll certainly say Jimmy G. I have no confidence in him. I would take an under on passing yards. He might get those completions because of his dink and dunk work.
I feel like last week wasn't it at 190 or something like that on his passing yards?
Yeah, and I took the under, and that worked out for me.
Yeah, only 19 attempts last week. I can't. There's no way I would ever take that over.
Completion's got to be under.
Yeah, you didn't even have that many target or attempts last week.
Yeah, no.
It's just
I really wish there's a 0.5 interception line for Jimmy.
I love that
one.
Like
we see with Stafford, because he, like we were talking before, he makes those throws. That's just it's whether or not defense catches them, pretty much.
Sleeper would be losing money if they put an interception line for Jimmy G. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's very true.
Stafford, it's certainly in the realm of possibilities. He throws a pick, so that might be one. But he's played well in the postseason, so
it depends. I heard the commentator said last week, if Stafford's at his all-time confidence, he's not going to make any mistakes, no picks or at all. But if it's a rough game, he could throw a few. I could see that happening.
Yeah, and like Zack mentioned, 49ers seem to have the Rams number here, so that's also something to keep in mind. But Cam Akers, 63.5 rushing yards is the line. That might be an under for me as well. If you're taking, I know some people aren't fans of unders. I think that's Jared, right? Not an under fan.
Well, the thing is, Cam Akers could have 140-yard run, and then there's the over. He could break one. It could always happen. That's why I just never take him.
Elijah Mitchell then for the 49ers, 69.5 is his line with a 10.5 reception mark. So Mitchell being, their lead back right now. But you also have to keep in mind Debo getting some work. That's where that one always gets tricky if you want to take that. But
I think Debo will get 10 carries this game.
Yeah. And Debo's line for rushing yards is 39.5, 4.5 receptions, and for him 53.5. So I don't know what you make of that.
I've also taken the over on him. It was him and Mahomes. I took the rushing yards over the last few weeks, and they've hit on both. So I could take Debo over. It's only 40 or 39.5.
39.5. That might be one you take right there.
Yeah.
But one of the final ones I want to talk about, there's a couple of them, but Cooper Kupp. It's always fun to look at the line for him. 102.5 right now. This one fluctuates a lot, right? It always does. It usually creeps up before the game. That's always what I've noticed, but I don't know what you guys think from 102.5. I think he can certainly do it.
Yeah, definitely.
I like the Odell one more.
You like the 51.5 for Odell Beckham Jr.?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Intriguing.
Or the Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
Ayuk 48.5. Yeah.
I think Kupp's going to get most of the targets if it's a closer game. I mean, they're going to rely on him. But yeah, Beckham's been more of a heavy hitter. He has a few touchdowns, I think, right? He's been targeted a lot more, obviously, in the postseason. So
he 4 for 69 yards or 6 for 69, something like that. I'm pretty sure it was 69 yards, but
Yeah, Juwan Jennings had a big game against the Rams down the year. With it was 7 targets, 6 receptions, 94 yards, and his line right now is it's 25.5. So, not saying he's going to repeat that, but certainly really low. And I don't know, that certainly could be one you take as well.
He's I don't know. I want to stay away from him.
he's a hit or miss type of player for the Lions.
Yeah.
Tight ends to round it out. Kittle, 4.5 receptions, 52.5 receiving yards. And then Higbee, 41.5 receiving yards. For you guys, maybe Kittle receptions. That's me, but
yeah.
Zach?
I don't like it. I don't like tight end lines, really.
Rare.
Just my personal preference.
You don't
Who else
like
are
a
they
lot
going
of
to
things.
throw to?
Wow,
Who else
okay.
are they going to throw to?
Yeah.
I mean,
Like-
look at Kittle's stats. The last
Yeah, but it's
3
only
games
4.5
of the regular
catches.
season.
That's the
Yeah,
regular
last-
season, Zach. Or the
I know it's
postseason.
different. What did he have last week?
He dropped a few easy passes, though. There was
Yeah,
a wide
no,
open
I
pass that he
think-
dropped. And
Warmer
He still
temperatures
dropped him.
here.
You
No,
would
he's
get
not
him.
in the cold. I like a Kittle reception line.
me too.
That's your choice, but
Zach,
I'm just saying I wouldn't
what's your
take it.
record? Aren't you like 0 for your last like 20 something? I mean,
yeah,
all I'm
I
saying
can put
is,
some lines together. I just don't put the whole bet together.
what I think you should make a line. Just take. Sorry, Jordon Lawrenz. We like to pick on you when we talk lines, but you take one of his lines. Do the opposite of what he said. A 5-leg one. Maybe you win. Try it, Nate. Put $1. See what happens.
Possibly. Yeah.
But yeah, that wraps up the lines then for championship weekend, or it's really just championship Sunday. But is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
I think we're all good.
This was a jam-packed episode, and now it's time to go through our schedule for next week. Next Monday, we have episode 47 of Jordan Drew the Sports Crew already. We're almost to that big episode 50 for that. And then we have next Wednesday, I believe there's going to be a Packer season recap. So be on lookout for that. We have an EWC 5 to 10 minute, preview / recap show coming on Tuesday, something just brief, to keep everyone filled in on their EWC news. And then Friday, be back here for Journey to a Million, episode 8, where we'll be talking championship game and a Super Bowl preview, right? So that'll be some good stuff. And with that, then, social medias, JD Sports Pod is the Twitter, Jordan Drew _ Sports Crew, the Instagram, and then YouTube, Jordan Drew the Sports Crew. We have $15 hoodies we are selling, white ones. Not many are left. It's very limited, so make sure to contact myself, Drew Skyberg, DREW, SKYBERG, or any of those podcast platforms or pages if you're interested. And yeah, with that, then thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Jordan Drew the Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.